Hi, I'm Diana Montford, the world's first, count me one, first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female. Speaking of transgender, we have a wonderful guest. It is Mr. Mel Wymore, who is a man of transgender experience. He is also a politician. He is a great fundraiser. He is the executive director of TransPAC, which is an organization devoted to raising funds for the transgender cause, i.e. political inclusion in many gay rights bills. And he's going to tell us all about TransPAC and what it is and why we need it and why, should you wish to, you might like to open your wallets and toss us some cash, or toss it to him. Or you could toss it to me, but it won't go to TransPAC. But anyway, give it to him and it'll go to TransPAC.
Sure.
Yes, let's talk to wonderful Mel Wymore, who once ran for city council, and you were on then.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you, Diana.
So what is TransPAC?
Well, TransPAC is a political action committee. It's the first ever in New York State. And our objective is to advance transgender rights through the political process. So what TransPAC does is collect funds, and the goal of 2016 is to flip the New York State Senate. In other words, right now, and for the last...
Going to bend them over, are you?
Yes, that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
The New York
I know a few will like that.
The New York State Senate has... I don't know if you know much about the LGBT legislation.
No, I'm totally ignorant. I'm a stupid strumpet who blew my way
okay,
onto the
so
show. No, what? Tell me.
In 2003, the Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act was proposed to the state legislature. Since 2003, it's passed the New York Assembly 9 times. And the Senate, which is a conservative-controlled Senate,
rumor has it,
has not even yet once brought it to the floor for a vote. So
just kicked it to the floor.
Yes, that's right. So it's not ever gotten out of committee, and despite the fact that the New York State, just one second.
Your phone is on, yes.
Yes, awful.
To those of you watching this in the future on YouTube or something, we had something we called cell phones. And they made noise.
Sorry for that.
That's okay.
So yes, anyway, so for 13 years we've been fighting to pass agenda through the New York State Senate.
Yes, I know. I've been part of the fight.
You know, marriage equality passed.
Yes.
And there was a promise to, include transgender next.
Ha 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 ha.
And unfortunately, what happened was Governor Cuomo basically said, well, we're just going to include transgender people in the human rights legislation kind of by edict and not go through the state legislature.
Right.
So we have basically in name the rights, but we don't have statutory legislation that make sure
that would stand up in a court of law against a challenge.
That's right. And none of the public documentation includes transgender. It's just been this one declaration. And so TransPAC was started in Long Island out of the founders of the Long Island Transgender Advocacy Coalition.
Yes.
Julie Gray Owens, Jeff Friedman, and Barbara Salva and Betsy Malcolm, the four founders of TransPAC, started it in 2014.
Are they trans?
2 of them are. Betsy is not, and Jeff is not, but Julie
What is their interest
and
in
Barbara.
the transgender world?
Well, Jeff was an LGBT activist who was fighting for gay marriage, marriage equality. And Betsy is a cisgender straight woman who is just a very strong ally and someone who really
we certainly
believes in
need allies.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely. So, so they founded TransPAC 2 years ago, and they raised a little money, but there was a lot of organizing that needed to happen. So there was no real action from a political sense until 2016. In 2016, when the Senate races opened up, we first supported Todd Kaminsky out in Long Island in the special election. Made a real difference in his race, so he could win a contested race out there. And now we continued, I became involved in the midsummer.
Well, let me ask you a question. How did you make a big difference in his race?
Well, we raised money and contributed to his race.
I see.
And we were one of the first PACs to come into his race and really support him strongly, and it made a difference for him.
Where does all this money come from?
We raise it from donors, from good people like the people that are watching right now, different activists in the LGBT community, allies, individuals. We look to unions to provide some funding.
Do unions provide funding?
To date, a couple have started to contribute, and we're just looking for more
What
unions. The Federation of Teachers and the RDWSU, the Retail Workers Union.
Oh, that's wonderful. I myself was once a retail worker. I used to sell cosmetics.
Actually, a lot of trans people are employed in the retail industry, so it's a very good fit for us. So
And always were, by the way.
yeah.
The stealth it might have been, but it was always a hotbed of trans activity. But anyway, well, I did once lose a job at a department store when someone frankly heard me peeing in the women's bathroom, and it was too strong for a woman's tinkle, and they ratted me out, and I was fired summarily a half hour after I zipped myself back up. Scram!
Wow. That's quite a story.
Well, that happened in the 80s, so.
Well, that's actually, you bring up employment, and that's one of the strong areas that TransPAC is out to make sure that transgender people can stay employed without fear of discrimination and being fired for their gender expression. Employment, housing, health care, access to public facilities, lockers.
North Carolina, are you listening?
Exactly.
Houston, we have a problem.
All over the
Yes.
place. Yeah, and actually only 18 states have protections for transgender and gender variant people.
One would think that just LGB rights would cover us under the umbrella, or non-discrimination acts would cover us. I always thought, that those laws were all inclusive, but apparently they've chosen to ghettoize us and, to a degree, pathologize us so that we cannot use the bathroom.
That's true. I mean, a lot of the legislation in the history of the LGBT movement, in order to get passed, excluded the T. Because of the kind of controversies around gender.
If you look up my my profile on computer, they asked me in 2002, I believe, the New York Times, well, what do you think? Because ESPA was backing LGB inclusion, but not T inclusion, and I said, well, is half a loaf better than none? I have since grown a lot tougher, and I do not.
Well, I think that was kind of the thoughts of a lot of people at the time, and now it's time to really stand up for transgender rights. And
well, they'd better, since they have no other gay cause left, and if they want to stay in business, it behooves them to do that.
No, it's true, and not only that, we have children transitioning, from the age 3, 4, 5. And those are people that really should have protections,
I was very lucky. My mother was very cool with my transit. Like at 6, 7, she thought it was great. So
you are lucky.
I am. I really am. Yeah.
And not a lot of people have that kind of parental
perverted parents. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of high suicide rates. A lot of homeless transgender people. People with that are working in the sex industry because they have no alternative.
Yes.
Some choose that, and some actually just are forced into that industry.
Well, I was a dominatrix for years.
Were you?
But I chose to be. I liked
that's
it.
a choice, and that's one
Understand?
thing.
But that was a joke. I did not hit him. But anyway.
Safe.
Yes. You know who's about safe word. Watch it. Telling too much? Yes.
Yeah, so TransPAC is out to really make a difference in politics. Also, in addition to passing legislation, we feel that a trans-led organization for trans rights is a really good way to raise the voices and empower the trans community.
I always wondered about that because clearly it's the gay white men who have the money. And on the one hand, yes, it's wonderful that we have our own organization. But on the other, Aren't we sort of ghettoizing ourselves and separating ourselves from the power structure that way?
Well, that's a really good question, and I feel of two minds about that. The first is that I think while TransPAC is about the last legislation, the last frontier of LGBT rights, I feel like it's very important for us to find strong allies, not only in the rest of the LGBT community, but Q and I community, but also in the cisgender and straight community. And so while we're trans-led and we have a trans mission, we're out to be very inclusive in our conversation and the way we talk about human rights. And I'm excited to do that. So on the one hand, it is a little bit exclusive in terms of our mission. But on the other hand, as marriage equality passed with strong gay activists, trans rights will pass because trans people are taking ownership of their own protections and rights. And I think that's a very important move for us to make.
I agree. And today, it's no longer a case of having to be psychologically evaluated the way it was 40-something years ago when I transitioned.
Yeah, no, I mean, even I had to get, I transitioned 7 years ago, and I had to get psychologist's letter, evaluation,
everything,
and,
yeah.
All of the documentation.
And I started with Harry Benjamin, the person who invented this process. He owned the office, but it was a wonderful doctor named Dr. Leong, who was very nice, a female doctor. And you were even careful not to wear trousers to that office because they would look askance and like, ooh, you know, you're not a woman. You should be wearing a dress, dear.
Oh, wow.
Don't fall back into old habits.
Crazy.
This was 1975.
That's early. You've been at it a while.
Yeah, maybe I'll get it right someday. I don't know. Maybe I should let my hair grow, you know. But anyway.
Yeah, you'd look good in long hair.
Then I'd look like a girl. What's wrong with you? No. But anyway, no, I like being in the middle. It's me. You know? I'm my own gender.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that too.
But so how much of a shot does TransPAC have at having real, genuine success and being able to change perceptions and laws?
It's looking really good. There's a lot of, I think, energy around the transgender conversation at large right now. We have, like when I ran for office in 2013 for city council.
When you were here
right?
talking about
and
it, yes.
while I ran for office, it was half of the problem was just how to explain being transgender, right? It wasn't, it was so new in the community, it was so new in the public domain. And 3 years later, we have Transparent, we have Laverne Cox, we have Caitlyn Jenner, we have Strut television show, the reality show on Oxygen. People are talking, the Times is covering transgender issues constantly.
As opposed to covering transgender people on park benches. That's good.
No, it's been a huge takeoff.
I mean,
in the last 3 years.
as blankets or something. You know.
Right? No, absolutely. It's been
that
a huge
joke fell
difference.
flat. If you have to explain a joke, it's not good.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, don't go there. But we are seeing a lot of momentum, and there's a huge political sector that is really empowering us.
What sector?
The Democratic and progressive elected officials. We featured Eric Schneiderman,
Yes.
our general
Attorney General.
Attorney General. Yeah, sorry. And we had Gail Brewer there.
I love them both. Yes.
We had Melissa Mark Viverito there,
Yes.
City Council Speaker. We had both of the sponsors of the Agenda Bill from the.
Excuse me, that was my hand brushed his knee. I'm not flirting with you. That was an accident.
It's okay. So they were there, and we had Dominique Tyra A. Ross Jackson from Strut there. So we're getting a lot of public, high-profile, support. We have quadrupled our donor base, and you can contribute to TransPAC.
Well, let's find out how they can contribute.
At transpac2016.org.
Is it tax deductible?
It is not, because it's political. We are nonprofit, volunteer-run, and trans-run, but we are definitely a political agency, and therefore not tax deductible.
So out of the goodness of your heart.
That's right. If you want to be part of the movement to build the voice of transgender people in American politics And right now, especially in New York, because New York is one of the states that tends to be a linchpin state. When things happen here, they tend to happen everywhere else, or someone takes it to the Supreme Court and makes it the rule of the land.
Exactly.
So we're out to really change pass the agenda bill here in New York and then move on from there. So we're excited
And
about that.
that is a problem because although Manhattan, the 5 boroughs, New York City, although those 5 boroughs are very progressive, the rest of New York tends to be very conservative, and that's a huge problem for us because we're almost 2 different planets, you know?
There is a very diverse population in New York, from rural to urban, from north to south. However, we are seeing some real movement in some of these formerly conservative districts. Out in Long Island, we have some strong races that look like they're going to shift from a conservative representative or senator to a more progressive one.
Yes.
And we have a couple in Hudson Valley. And we have Amber Small up in Buffalo. We have Sarah Nicoli in the Albany region, all running very strong races. And,
Wonderful. By the time this airs, we will probably know.
If we know by then, well, hopefully the Democrats will have taken the New York State Senate. And if that happens, agenda should pass in 2017.
And that would be wonderful.
That would be awesome.
And as New York goes, so goes the world.
Yeah. And then there's a number of other types of legislation we'd like to pursue. And the founders of TransPAC, the Long Island Transgender Advocacy Coalition, Julie Gray Owens, is going around New York holding town halls to develop, get basically a listening tour to develop a legislative agenda for transgender people. So as she does that, you know, we're advocating in the political side. She's organizing in a nonprofit capacity with transgender people, and hopefully through those listening tours, we'll learn more about what kinds of legislation transgender people really need in New York State.
Well, what do we need in a nutshell? What do we need?
Well, there are a number of issues. I mean, what GENDA will do is essentially provide basic protections against discrimination. But also transgender people are disproportionately incarcerated, experiencing violence in jail.
Is that also a racial thing?
There's also the trans women of color have a tremendous difficulty, not only in jail, but in their communities with discrimination and violence. So GENDA will protect, make it illegal to discriminate against people, but the real kind of meat of legislation will have to come in programs and incentives that will allow people to give transgender health care, housing, employment opportunities, education opportunities. So, you know, just like any other social problem, we need programs in place to really uplift a community that has been marginalized.
Well, that's the thing. They say, oh, those trannies, they're all whores. Maybe they wouldn't. I actually spoke about this to a neighbor of mine who must be legally blind, didn't know I was trans, and we had some trans ladies in the building, and they were actually prostitutes, and he those whores. And I explained to him that, you know, maybe if they could get a job at Macy's, they wouldn't have to be whores, you know.
Yeah, no, and there needs to be opportunities, and, you know, we are working hard to really develop an agenda, prioritize the agenda, and go after what we need to uplift this community. So, you know, we're working hard at it, and we're out there in front of the, you know, the power curve. We're really out there spreading the word, raising the funds, and becoming real players in New York politics. And we'll step out of New York very quickly and start supporting other states.
And you have quite a record of fundraising. You, as it happens, in one of those truly bizarre coincidences of life, there's a park right next to the studio, and you raised the funds for the park.
I did. You know, I didn't do it by myself, obviously. I've been a community activist on the Upper West Side of Manhattan for 30 years, and during that period of time, a number of communities that needed recreation were, you know, scattered throughout our district, one of which is in this neighborhood right here.
We shoot on 59th Street between 10th and 11th Avenues.
Right, and so this area has a number of pockets of impoverished communities, and so
Well, this used to be Hell's Kitchen, didn't
Yeah,
it?
so we looked for opportunities to give, to build parks, build recreation. There used to be a public swimming pool which had cracked.
Right
like,
next door, yes.
yes.
It was built in 1912.
And was never refurbished.
Well, the ship can't be sinking. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we held community town halls and figured out what to do.
West Side
with that.
Story takes place in this area.
That's
too.
right.
Yes.
It's actually right just down across where Lincoln Center is.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So we, over the last 15 years, kind of pieced together $15 million and built a park. So now we opened it 2 weeks ago. I just walked by today and saw kids playing. It was
Isn't
really
that
awesome.
nice?
Yeah, really good.
Anyway, so, and that AstroTurf looks real to me. I was shocked to find out it's not real.
It's not real.
It looks totally real.
The maintenance cost of real grass is high.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess. Whatever. But in New Jersey, everyone has a lawn, though, and it doesn't cost all that much.
Yeah.
And you get to see really
They
cute,
don't have-
bare-chested high school boys mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
When I lived in New Jersey,
Do you-
I would peek out my window because my father would hire these really hunky guys, and it was really nice. Damn. Anyway, but enough about all memories that bless and burn. Anyway, so now, if people want to contribute, how can they contribute?
Go
Contribute.
to TransPAC2016.org, and it's all spelled out, where you can contribute, a little bit about us. We keep a little blog going there. We also have a Facebook page, TransPAC, in the Facebook. That's it. That's the name of it. And really, you could even just email me at transpacny@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to hook you up however you want to. If you want to get involved as a volunteer or help us out with raising money, we sure would love that as well.
And this show goes on YouTube, and it will be seen way into the future.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
That's good. By the time it goes onto YouTube,
Well, it goes on right now. so-
everyone will know what TransPAC is.
Yes, but I have a project going where we put things on YouTube so that future social historians, it's sort of an oral history, we take these shows and we put them on so that future social historians will know who we were and what we were about and how we pioneered the transgender movement. I've been assured that these shows will live on after we in this building have crumbled to dust.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's why I had to explain what a cell phone is, It's like telling people today an Edison cylinder was something you wound up and listened to music on,
yeah, that's true. The cell phone is interrupting our show.
But, we do stand a very good chance of getting trans inclusion in all states. Are you hoping for national, just a blanket Supreme Court decision that makes it? Well, now North Carolina refused point blank to accept President Obama's edict that they allow us in bathrooms.
I think this
is
will.
water, by the way.
This will be. I'm
always like this.
This will be a shorter conversation. I think this. I just touched the mic, probably blew it up, but I think that the conversation around gender and gender rights will actually happen fairly quickly. The reason I think that is because of children. When parents have kids that want to transition, especially at a young age, they are fierce advocates.
Yes, they are.
Really
Even my own
fierce-
mother,
yeah.
50-something years ago was.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they will work tirelessly to transform their school communities, to integrate their children into everyday life in public schools and private schools. I think that'll go very quickly. Right now, it's all very new to us, and it will take a little time, but I don't think it'll be kind of the, excruciating year after year after year. I could be wrong, but even with TransPAC just starting up and entering kind of the political dialogue for the first time, we are seeing so much positive
Well, as you pointed out, when you were
feedback.
here in 2013, you had to explain what trans was, whereas now you don't.
No, and there was real controversy in 2013. Like, how do I explain, like the feeling? Like, do I come out to people? Do I not come out to people? And when I do come out, how do I explain it? And how will they deal with the pronoun issue and the freak factor? And all of these issues were big in my
See, that's
campaign.
what's funny. Among female trans people, we like trade on the free
Yeah.
like the men go, yeah, oh yeah. But it might be different for trans men.
I think in politics it's different. I don't know. For everyone, because I think you really have to be in a mainstream a mainstream dialogue with people
Yes.
about your gender and your presentation, your expression.
And what a shame that we have to explain this when others don't have to explain their sexual proclivities,
Yeah, it's hard.
One more time, where can people contact you to donate? Give them money. They need money.
TransPAC, TransPAC at 2016, TransPAC2016.org. TransPAC2016.org.
Don't ask me, I'm a Luddite, I don't know.
And if you want to email me, it's transpacny@gmail.com.
Yes, and you should donate if you possibly can, because we need the money, hey,
And it makes a difference. It makes a difference when you have real dollars behind your voice. It makes a huge difference. If you're just out there lobbying and rallying, those are all important things to do. But when you come into the political process with real contributions to make to good candidates who are going to back you and fight your fight, that
we call them bribes.
it's a part, unfortunately, really. Money is a big part of the political process. We may get to the point where it's no longer as big as
Lincoln
it is.
could not hope to run today.
Right, but now that's where the game is, and every dollar counts. Every dollar puts more boots on the ground. Every dollar makes more dollar knocks, more conversations with voters. Every dollar counts. So there's no contribution too small to participate.
Yes.
In
One last time,
what we're
where do
doing.
they contribute?
TransPAC2016.org.
Okay, my guest has been Transman Mel Wymore, who is Executive Director of TransPAC, an organization to raise funds for transgender laws that will help us all. And I'm Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. And even if no one else loves you, I love you. And we are a team. And that's it. And that's for free. You don't have to send me any money. Yeah. I love you anyway. And I'll see you next time. And you take real good care of yourself, because you mean a lot to me. I love you a lot. See you next time. Bye.